What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best lightning Stormweaver build in Path of Exile 2. So in this guide I will give you a quick overview of the setup. Then I will explain what skill gems and upgrades should you focus on. Then as well we'll see what is the best gear and how to get it for both the leveling and mid game. And then finally we will go over the passive skill tree, stats, your skill rotations, and even what charm should you use. So we would be able to get the highest damage possible and much more. If you are looking for this build on the website, then click my link in this video's description or the pinned comment. This setup is super fun and has insane amount of lightning damage. Also, as you can see, it is one of the most visually impressive builds in the game, as the Sorceress can paralyze and destroy monsters with a barrage of lightning. Our build has insane amount of AoV and great speed farming potential, by shredding through the maps and all the other endgame content with ease. All of these three skills, so the Archmage, the Lightning Incandescent and the Spark skills, together make up the bulk of our insane damage. At some point in the later game, some lowered gear players might run into a mana problem, but lucky for us, the Sorceress has many tools to address this problem. And with optimized gear, we need nothing more than a single stat roll on our weapon or gear to completely solve this issue. So, if you want to fill out your entire screen with sparks of lightning and speed clear through the hundreds of enemies in few seconds, then let's get right into it. So with all of this said, let me show you the build. For the main class we have chosen the Sorceress and our Ascendancy is the Stormweaver. And for our first skill we have the Spark, and we are going with the support gems such as the Pierce, Arcane Tempo, Acceleration, Persistence and Wild Shards. Then second we got the Lightning Incandescent with the Controlled Destruction, Elemental Focus, Considered Casting, Lightning Mastery and Execute. Then next we got the Orbs of Storm with Lightning Exposure, Strip Away, Conduction, Fount of Mana and Magnified Effect. Then next we have a Mana Tempest with Inspiration, Premeditation and Murderous Intent. Then next we have Conductivity with gems like the Hex Bloom and the Heightened Curse and Focus Curse. Then next we have the Enfeeble with the Curse Ground and Expands. Then next we have the Voltaic Mark with no gems. Then next we have the Archmage with also no gems selected. And finally for the last one we got the Mana Remnants with Clarity, Vitality and Cannibalism. Most of this build is structured around using the Archmage, Sparks and the Lightning Incandescent. So we use gems and skills that will support and increase their damage, while the rest are powerful filler skills that we can use until our main rotation comes back up, which happens rarely as we can basically spam it 24/7. Next, let's quickly take a look at our leveling setup, which we need to use up until we unlock the Archmage skill. So first off, we are using the Ember Fusillade with Controlled Destruction and Ignition. Then next we have the Spark with the Conduction and Pierce. Then next we also got the Orbs of Storm with Lightning Exposure and Strip Away. And then finally we're using the Frostbomb with Clarity and Vitality. This is your basic setup up until you get our build's one of the most important skills. In the early stages of progressing, we're using the Ember Fusillade for our single target DPS against early bosses. Then we got the Spark and Orbs of Storm to enhance our sparks and unleash our big AoV damage. And then finally the Frost Bomb is just meant for a powerful freeze. The main idea behind this is to always move while casting our Ember Fusillade and then get it to the 6 max stages, so then we can cast sparks and deal a bunch of AoV damage. Next up we have our passive skill tree. In very simple terms, every character is granted one passive skill point every time they level up, and are sometimes even granted more for completing certain quests. We have 3 node tabs, so small nodes, notable nodes and keystones. All of them act as checkpoints that you want to reach, and make a path to build around a specific playstyle. So let's take a look at our setup, and we want to start at the spell damage node and make our way like this, until we get the raw power and the Path of Storms. Then now we make our way all the way up here, and get this overexposure. Then from here we can circle back a little, and get the Arcane Blossom and then these 2 more nodes. Then now we make our way all the way up here until the top, then take the right like this, and get these 2 nodes called the Power Conduction and the Pure Power. And now from here we can make our way all the way to the right side, and on our way we can pick up all of these nodes in no particular order. As soon as you unlock the Constant Gale Ascension, which gives us the Arcane Surge, then now we can invest our points into the left side. But until that point, just get everything on the right. And then now let's go all the way to the middle again, and for our Ascension setup this is what we have. So at the beginning you want to unlock the Constant Gale, then the Force of Will, then next up get the Strike twice, and then finally get the Scourging Winds node. To simplify my decision making so you could easier understand, then we wanted to prioritize the raw power, Pout of Storms, Arcane Blossom and the Overexposure, as this will give us the biggest build upgrades to not only damage but mana as well, so we wanted to get them first. And then for the rest we invested into more mana regen, more skill effect duration, and just more damage, which will make our character extremely powerful. As most importantly, because of the Archmage skill, the more mana we have, the more insane damage we can do. In PoE 2, earning skill points take a lot of hard work, so it will be wise not to spend your points recklessly. You can of course refund your passive points later, but only at a cost, so following a specific setup is extremely useful. If you are following this setup, then make sure not to deviate from it, as some of the decisions that I made might not make sense at first, but is going to pay off later. So feel free to use the exact same path as I have right here. And don't forget to check this video's description to find the link for this website, and this should make it easier for you to follow the tree. Next we have our gear. The weapon of our choice is the Attuned Wand. And you don't have to, but if you can, then get some of these bonus stats like increased spell damage and lightning damage to attacks. Also, extra mana stat could be helpful as well. Then for the helmet we have the Coral Circlet with energy shield, and for the bonus stats get the maximum life, fire resistance and cold resistance. Then for the chest we have the Bone Raiment with energy shield, percentage increase to max energy shield and the fire and cold resistance. Then for the belt we have the Ornate Belt with reduced charm charges, maximum energy shield and fire or cold resistance. Then for the gloves we got the Jeweled Gloves with energy shield, and for the bonus stats get the maximum life, maximum energy shield and fire or cold resistance. Then for boots we are using the Feathered Sandals with energy shield, and for the bonus, at this time you 100% only want this, and it is as high movement speed as possible. Then for our first ring we got the Ruby Ring with fire resistance, and for the extras we want any other type of resistances like the lightning and etc. While on the second one we got the Sapphire Ring with cold resistance, and for the extras again we want more resistances of any type or the maximum energy shield. And then finally for the amulet we got the Azure Amulet with increased mana regeneration, and for the extras we have maximum energy shield. As the game just launched, so this is the starter setup, which should be more of an example of what stats and prefixes to look for. Your weapon is the most important upgrade, so prioritize any type of flat damage or increased attack speed. Specifically, the lightning damage roll will be the most important one, as your skills themselves do a lot of conversion. And then for defenses, make sure that you're regularly updating the base type of your gear, so prioritize energy shield, maximum life, and any type of resistance that you can. Also, movement speed on boots is a good option as well. As far as getting this gear goes, gearing up during the campaign is relatively straightforward. Most players will focus on increasing their damage output and survivability, and at this point there's no best gear or specific item that you should farm, as the campaign is just a brief introduction to the game itself, and you'll be getting better gear left and right. However, once you reach the early stages of mapping, which should happen around level 65, then it's crucial that you start mainly focusing on farming Atlas of the Worlds, and just keep repeating maps until you reach tier 16. If you are looking for a gear guide on the best gear and how to farm them after the campaign, then watch my dedicated gearing guide video. Then on top of this, we need to quickly look into the charms. Charms are incredibly useful, as by having the right one equipped at the right time can save you from dying. If you are struggling with certain bosses, then look into what damage type they are using, and then use that specific charm to increase your resistance. For me personally, I like to use the Ruby Charm for fire damage, then the Sapphire Charm for cold damage, and then finally the Amethyst Gem for chaos damage. But as I said, which one you choose will depend on the enemies that you are fighting, so feel free to experiment and mix and match. And now finally, let's quickly take a look at how this build will work. We want to start our main rotation by first off activating the Archmage, which while active will give our non-channeling spells cost additional mana, but now in return we will deal extra lightning damage based on our DPS and our maximum mana. And then from here we can simply spam the Spark and the Orb of Storm, and this will fill our entire screen with the lightning that will destroy enemies in seconds. As you can see, this rotation is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is basically keep spamming the main rotation, and then use the rest of the filler skills for bosses or depending on the specific situation. If you ever run into the mana problem, then remember all the ways that I previously said on how we can increase it, and then also we can use the Mana Tempest and Mana Remnants to recover it even faster. And this might sound obvious, especially at the beginning when you might not have unlocked the Archmage skill. But if you run out of mana, then just simply cast less skills and wait. You will be doing very high damage anyways, so casting fewer skills won't really impact the gameplay that much, but it may reduce your mana consumption, especially if you're under-geared or under-leveled. So let me know what you think about this setup in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then you definitely don't want to miss my previous top 3 build video, where I showed even more powerful builds. So click the screen and I'll see you in the next one.